So today, Nintendo, in partnership with Cygames, released their latest mobile game called Dragalia Lost. I've been playing it since early this morning and figured I'd talk about it. Now, to start, I do want to make it very clear that I am not a mobile game expert by any means. I never play these things, except for pretty much the Nintendo ones, just to try them out. I just don't enjoy them and find them to be very exploitive with their microtransactions. But again, if Nintendo's name is attached to it, I'll check it out. I'm a fanboy. What do you want me to do? The first thing you'll notice is this game is very anime, because yes, it's another waifu collector game of sorts. If you're a fan of that aspect in Fire Emblem Heroes, let's say, I think you'll be right at home here. One of the main things you'll spend currency on is to roll for new party members, who can also roll different rarity levels and that. Again, just like Fire Emblem Heroes. It's got a fair amount of story too for a mobile game, at least in my experience. Not much in terms of like events happening, but more so a way to learn about and bond with the characters of the game. And it's mostly voiced, which is nice. And I actually think it's got a really good soundtrack too to back everything up. Gameplay-wise, though, this is very different, I think, from a lot of the other mobile games, at least mobile games I've seen, and I do think this title needs to be commended in that arena. I really do. It's a pretty basic but standard action game, sort of an ARPG type deal like Diablo. You run around these little maps in real time, fighting enemies, and there are various skills and abilities for you to outfit the characters in your party with, to use as you progress. And at the end of each map is a boss character that you have to defeat. Unlike most other mobile games I've played, I do genuinely enjoy the gameplay in this. It's one of those mobile games that does feel like an actual video game. If this was something that, released on the 3DS as a full-price 3DS game, I'd be like, yeah, makes sense. The only problem I'd say is the controls. I think they did the best they could with, having to use the touchscreen of a phone. You can drag your finger and hold in any direction to move the character about freely, and you can do this anywhere on the screen. As you can see by my lines, I'm controlling my character from more towards the bottom. This is something I kind of had to get my brain used to. It's like I wanted to tap on the characters and drag to move them, but you don't have to, and if you're doing that, you're not going to be able to see everything because your hand's going to be in the way. You can double tap anywhere on the screen to dodge in that direction, and single tap to attack. Your special abilities are also separate buttons on the screen that you can tap. Like I said, it does take a bit of getting used to if you're someone like me, again, who doesn't play games on your phone, but it's fairly intuitive. There's also an autoplay function if you're feeling really lazy and just want the game to play itself. I could see this being good for grinding resources at lower levels, but you're definitely not going to want to rely on this if you're playing a stage with stronger enemies, as your characters are pretty dumb in the autoplay mode. They don't dodge much and will mostly just stand in front of bosses eating hits, which I actually kind of like because it keeps that from being the optimal way to play. I really don't like in these types of games where it's like the most effective way to play the game is to not play. I find that to be very annoying. Another feature that's here that I really like is that there's multiplayer. Your standard party size is 4, but you can join up with others instead of filling out your party with your own characters. I've had a lot of fun doing this. There's little emote messages in that you can send other players, but the problem is I think the levels are too short for this. Even though there is an option for some of the mission types to keep the party together after you complete a mission so you can all keep playing. If you're playing a public game, much of the time the people don't stay together, and it only takes you typically like a minute to a minute and a half to beat a level, which makes sense because this is still a mobile game after all. It's designed for you to be able to play it in quick spurts, but finding 3 other players to party up with for only a minute or so, then having to build the party up again, it's just too tedious. This is one area I hope they really do build upon, because I feel like there is some missed potential here, and maybe it does build up as you get later in the game. But yeah, if you could have like some levels that were longer, like maybe say more like 5 minutes to beat, I could really see myself actually getting into that multiplayer aspect. And beyond that, this game has a lot going on with it in terms of the more RPG elements. Of course, each character can be leveled up to increase their strength. They can be outfitted with different gear. They can also unlock new power and abilities through this mana circle, which is a skill tree of sorts for each character. There's your castle, where you've got to do what I refer to as the Simpsons tapped out system. That's the only popular mobile game I know off the top of my head that was famous for this. You build various structures and upgrade them to farm various currencies, as well as some that increase the power of your characters. And it's one of those things, you know, you got to keep going back in to check the progress of things, what you've farmed, and collect it. And there's also the dragons. A main focus of the game are these dragons that your party members can link up with. While you're playing, killing enemies will fill this dragon meter for characters that will eventually allow you to activate and transform into a dragon, giving you new and much more powerful attacks. And of course, those dragons can also be leveled up, and you can give them gifts which will increase your bond with them, and that allows you to spend more time in that dragon form. Yeah, there's a lot of little systems here, which I think is pretty common in mobile games, right? You know, trying to get you to keep clicking around and collecting things to get those constant dopamine hits is key. And of course, there are those pesky microtransactions. There are various premium items you can buy to level up and unlock things quicker, as per pretty much any free-to-play game. I can't really comment too much on it because it's still the first day, and I've only had so much time to play it. Like, I did buy some of the paid currency to see how it worked with, like, rolling for the character and dragon unlocks versus the currency you actually earn in-game, and it seems for now you earn that in-game currency pretty quickly, so at the time of this recording I wouldn't feel like you'll be very pressured into buying it, but again, it's still early on. That's often how they get you. They hook you by making things easy at the start. You're raking in all this currency, progressing super fast, then things out of nowhere just come to a screeching halt. They get very grindy to push you into feeling the need to buy stuff. So yeah, at least in the early game it feels pretty fair, but that could easily change as you get further in. Either way, with this being a free-to-play game, I definitely recommend checking it out if you already play stuff on mobile, but even if you typically don't, I'd say to at least give it a whirl because yeah, I found the gameplay in it to be really fun. And with that, this video's a wrap. Let me know your thoughts on Nintendo's latest mobile game, their first original IP, I believe, for mobile, in the comments. If you're currently playing it, how do you feel it stacks up to other mobile games? Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this discussion of Dragalia Lost. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. If you want to keep the conversation going, hit me up on Twitter at Johnny Zakari, and join my Discord, Shy Guy and Friends. Link to both in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching.